remind you all that these ordinances will have to pass with an emergency clause. We need 4 votes for that. If one of you is out of there, or and I don't know how Councilor Stewart's going to vote, but we need 4 votes to get the emergency clause to put this on the ballot. If we don't have 4 votes, we don't have unity of at least 4, hopefully 5, then these won't go on the ballot. It will not pass.
I'll go either way. I personally.
That's really why we're asking for a consensus, because Pat's got to get these things drafted. And it's no sense talking about it.
Get one shot.
I think keeping vision pure is the best way to go, but I'll go either way.
I'm open too, so it's like, you know.
I think you are going to get a 5th no vote. I think he's posted on Facebook that there'll be a no vote.
I personally think that, you know, since we're going to have to push for people to understand the Proposition 2 and 3, I think it's easier to explain the parks right now, and I'm afraid if we get mingled up with Tulsa in spring, I don't know if we can get our message out at all, because then the Tulsa Chamber will be out there pushing, and it'll be on all the news channels. I mean, they'll pay to be have their little commercials and their little flyers and all their little stuff all over Tulsa, and we'll just get swallowed up in that. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know.
Let me spin off that. I think this. I'm sensing that you want to have one ballot title, and you don't want to split the number 1 into 2.
No.
Because that'll be even more confusing.
That'll be more confusing.
Is anybody who thinks that they ought to split it?
No.
Okay. So that when we get to that, if indeed you pass this version, the next 2 items on your Monday agenda will go away. They'll be pulled because you will have already acted on them.
Okay.
Well, I think you need to put the parks together. I don't think it needs to be number 1 and then go back down to number 4.
Okay.
Oh. Number 4.
Well, number 4 was making that other .25 that's out there permanent. So we had that .25 that was out there already. The debt service and the parks, they're half and half, both expired in 2021.
Can you combine those in an ordinance?
I don't believe you should. Now here, you have the single subject rule, and yeah, the number 1 does include parks. It also includes capital improvements. We can argue that the one purpose, the single subject here, is reallocation of a debt service tax, and that's legitimate. You could stick the parks extension in here, but I think that's starting to stretch a little bit, and it's a totally different tax. So
I do think the one thing, if we're going to do this with the parks, the one thing we better have ready is a plan for, and I know we're going to discuss it, Bixby. We better have a real plan for that, and be able to talk about it,
right?
And say this is what we're going to do with that.
Well, one of the things I think, Pat, is the way the propositions are ordered. We do parks and debt service, then we do river, and we do parks again. I think that in itself is a little bit confusing. I think we ought to group the. If we have to have 2, we should do river, and then we should do the reality, so that.
And which should be number 1? Do you want?
I would do the rivers as number 1.
I think the rivers have to be number 1.
1 and 2. 1 and 2 should be.
Rivers are 1, then public safety.
Because we're going to try to use the vision name.
So move 1 and what's now 1.
Make 2 1.
Make it 3.
Make 3 2. Make 1 3 and leave 4 as 4.
Yep.
Okay.
Now the river is the one that includes Charlie Young Park, right?
Yes.
So that would be kind of would make sense, because you would need to actually look at that.
Well, Charlie Young is vision surplus. The plan we have now is vision surplus.
Oh no, that's right. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
But we can add. There are elements out of that master plan that we can add to the river.
Is that going to mess you up for voting on Monday?
No, I just trying to think. Well, I need to change the election resolution. The ordinances are still good, so I don't want to change that unless you change that with the ordinances.
Because we're going to need some of that money to maintain Charlie
for the
Young
downtown,
Park, right? Anything that
some of the reallocation money.
reallocation
Right.
money.
Snowing.
Yeah, some of the reallocation money. And to B's point, you know, if we get the vision surplus to do Charlie Young, the only way that we have money to maintain it and run it is if we do the reallocation to get that additional funding over to parks.
Is there any more discussion about whether or not what the percentages are or should be for the repurposing.
So let's go back to, do we want to see both issues
Okay.
Monday?
On the ballot? What do you mean?
Bring it to council. Do we want to bring river and reallocation? Harold's shaking his head, yes. I want to be sure that we don't bring stuff to council that they want to hear. I mean, I guess that's really
Sure.
on this. So if you guys say yes, let's bring them
Well,
all.
I think if we're gonna lump them together, you'll have to.
And okay.
Okay. Okay, so what about the percentages right now, 15 and 10? Is there any kind of discussion on whether or not those should be flipped?
I think that's what they were talking about.
Well,
I think they
Yeah,
were
the
flipping
one
it.
that we were talking about
Do
flipping.
do
it.
point
Yeah.
one instead of doing 0.15 to capital, we do 0.1 to capital, and we do 0.15 to parks.
And that's what they were talking about.
Which
That
would
way,
Point.
you got Charlie Young Park, which would also be taken care of at that point. And that's
Right.
what your concerns were.
Right.
Do you think for Monday night we might be able to have something akin to maybe large boards that have preposition 1, 2, or whatever we're gonna have with, again, what, why, and how is it funded? Because if it's gonna be brought up, and I know there's gonna be a lot of people who are concerned who wanna know about it, it'll be kind of a snapshot, because that would be the first opportunity to explain this.
If we put that in a PowerPoint, then we can put that even on the TV. That
Okay.
Paul could bring that up and we could put it up on the screen. It goes on TV, we put it up on the screen in the council
Kind of
chambers.
simplify
which
this with
simplifies
couple
these.
sentences,
Right.
what they are, and
It's a good
that's
idea.
what you explained, that you need this money to be able to do this.
Right.
I think that, yeah, I think Monday night is what we consider our first town hall meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, really it is, because the people that want to come out and fight this, those are going to be the first people there, and they're going to be right there on Monday. So you know what? Let's sit down, let's talk about it, let's explain it, and answer all the questions they have and concerns. Because if you get those people to realize the whole entire picture, and right now they only see a little bitty picture. I mean, they really don't know what's going on. But if they see the whole picture and they understand it, then maybe we won't have that huge opposition on this as we go forward.
It's just like Bentley. I mean, why it blows my mind that people don't understand. You got to keep funding the thing, because if not, I mean, what, we're gonna have all our fields go dry?
You remember the group that showed up down at that one night? So there's a huge group out there that wants
Well,
to make sure that
you know,
stays status quo.
Because Bentley Park is, roughly $10 million investment that voters voted for in 2006, 2011. So it was a repeat investment.
That's all we're really known for right now. I mean, that's the one thing we have. We want to shut it down.
Okay, well, the sense that I'm getting is, let's flip the percentages. Obviously, this is the one that's in your book for Monday has the doesn't flip them. So I'll have a version ready.
Are you
If
guys
that's the
okay
way
with
you
that?
want to go.
I mean, I know that's big.
General-
No, I think it all ought to go to parks.
You're saying no?
You want me to have one that
capital?
goes?
Isn't that what you said?
That's
Put it all in
but at least
parks?
all it flipped.
Well, can
Flipped.
we do like I mentioned, where
Yeah, where
it goes to
don't
parks,
need it.
but if it's not, if there's any surplus there, it goes to capital improvement.
Unless they're saying they were afraid to get too wordy or something.
I'll
It
bet
could
you
be
there
an
won't
and
be
or,
much-
yeah, I
I'll
can-
bet you there won't be much of a surplus there.
Yeah, I would think so too. Especially what you're anticipating with Charlie Young.
Let me ask this, Pat. When you have the sales tax go, let's say it goes into the parks fund, and then there is money falling down to fund balance, money that doesn't get spent because it wasn't needed. If that sales tax goes into parks, can you take that money and transfer it out to another
No.
department?
The ballot, what the people vote on is stuck.
Okay,
until the
so
votes change.
everything that we have right now for parks comes out of sales tax,
Right.
for park funds. So park can be funded by other sources,
Right.
but parks can't fund somebody else because it's sales tax.
Right.
So that would be the hard part, is that you've locked it up into parks, and if you have a need somewhere else, you can't get it out again. So that would be, but that's,
Capital improvements, I would say from a department head point of view, again, that's one of those where we all compete, street, police and fire. I believe, I don't know if Parks gets money out of there. We all have to sit down every year and go, okay, who needs, and usually there's never enough. there is never enough for
Well, that-
equipment and trucks and all of that. So that fund, and I know Ike is thinking of, you know, replacing a lot of his fleet, that's where it's gonna come from. So we gotta make sure we have enough money there.
But theoretically, if parks needed something capital improvement wise, then that could come out of capital improvements? Let's say that they
Yes.
needed pumps.
Yes.
Yes. Anything can go back into
See, so
parks.
that kind of makes, so if they did need something major,
They
you
could
could
go,
still squeeze it over.
but if you put on parks now,
We
then
can't
you
take it
can't.
anywhere else.
Yeah,
So I would leave the .1 on capital improvement.
yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was saying, that
All right.
we will
I agree
need,
with
that's one that we, every year, that is the one where we all need to sit down and go, okay, and usually it's streets that goes, okay, we'll give that up for another year. So, you know, so I'm, from a point of view that we do need for equipment.
Capital improvement gives you the most flexibility.
And as we add more people, if I add 2 more street guys, I'm gonna need probably another truck at least and stuff like that. So we are adding people, but we're also gonna be needing more equipment and more vehicles. You know, the more people we add, the more equipment we're gonna need, and capital improvement, that's where it's coming from.
I wanna make sure that the money that we're allocating, that .4, is gonna be enough. I need some reassurance on that.
0.4.
Well, parks would be .25 permanent
Oh, yeah.
plus
Plus
Uh,
0.15.
Okay.
And what we'll do,
Well, and I was just about to say, when you mentioned that, the one thing I want to know for sure before we do that is that, do we have the commitment that we're gonna, if we're gonna do Charlie Young, that we're gonna do it right? If we're not gonna do it right, then I just assume keep it the way it is and keep it a .1 for the parks and
Yeah.
.15 for, because it's like, we either, I just don't want to see that, like, yeah, we either do it right or we don't do it all.
Oh, we just do it right. I just
And of
think
course,
we
you don't
make
know.
the,
No, I
we
agree.
just
the
make the
voters will approve
commitment to
it.
do it right.
well, and I think
I
we
think
have.
we make that commitment, that's why, yeah, that's why I thought put the money mostly in park, but I think we
Because I'm like
got
Brian, I don't want to see be here later, oh, need more money, gotta take out capital improvements, or gotta take it out
what
of
if you
general
put,
fund.
if you don't think it's enough, what if you put .05 over in the capital improvement?
Instead of
Instead of
.1,
.1, put the 0.5.
Well, I think that goes back to, if you give it to the parks, then it's gonna be spent, you know, no matter what, you can't get it back out for something else.
Yeah.
Okay, now the
But you
key,
can use it from the capital improvement if you have to.
Right.
the key to make the parks thing work is gonna be a director. Some sort of a director that's gonna go out and sell these programs. So who'll pay that director? The city, or will that come out of the park fund? Or, I mean, if that director doesn't come out of the park fund, then you can leave it the way it is. But the key to everything Dennis is talking about is a person to push programs in our parks.
I think it's economic development. I
So
think
where
it's-
will that money come from to pay for that? Out of the economic development money?
Could be combined.
I mean, if that's not coming out of the park department,
Could
then
be
you can
split.
relax that a little bit.
then that could be economic development. I think that's a valid,
The key to making this work is pushing it, marketing it.
We're
That's
talking
the key.
about $150,000 difference between the .1 and the .15. Is basically what the difference between those two is. So let's think about that, $150,000. So right now we know what, $300,000 that we have to pull out of the general. Is that what it is? So that will get paid, basically, and we'll have about another $125,000 to play with. It's really not much money. So now we got to pick up Charlie Young Park.
well, and let's just look at it in terms of maintenance effort. Okay,
Maybe more.
if Don's got $1 million budget, we've got Bentley, we got Washington Irving, we got Quail Creek Park, we got Lake Bixoma,
Trails.
and the trails. Okay, and 60% of that money, 600,000 of that million, is personnel. So we're really looking at 400,000, and of that 400,000, at least half. Betty, is that half of the how much is the park's lighting and watering?
150,000 is watering,
Okay,
okay, that's,
So-
and lighting,
is it at least
Yeah.
50?
oh, yeah.
So if lighting's at
Yeah.
least 50, you've got 600, now you're at 200, that's just hired your people and turned the lights on and kept the grass alive. So that, out of that million, it's only that 200,000 is the real operating budget for all of those things as far as equipment, mowing, gas, all those things. So Charlie Young Park's probably not gonna take $100,000 to
But here's my
maintain.
other side of this, and we haven't discussed it yet. What are we gonna consider Lake Bixoma? Because if
That's-
Lake Bixoma is gonna be considered a park and not a water source, and we're gonna put money into that,
Yep.
then there's another
It's-
probably
it's-
$50,000.
That's on there, yeah.
Is that on there?
That's on there.
Yeah.
So what we can
So
do.
we have to really, I mean, I know we don't want to discuss that till later, but if Lake Bixoma is gonna be part of our park system, it needs to be part
Well,
of our park
I can
system.
tell you what the general public is gonna support. They're gonna support anything that will lower their water bill. I don't think you're gonna find very many people that would support Bixoma as a park as opposed to them keeping their water bill going up 7% every year. I mean, I think that's where it's
He's
gonna fall.
actually right, and any of the old core hardcore guys, they go with that.
It's water bill, man. It's all about water bill. But there's no reason we can't make, like, of course, we're gonna talk about it later. I don't see any reason why we can't make it a water treatment plant for us and then still, I mean, it was always allowed for some recreation, wasn't it?
Yes, for fishing, for
Yeah.
sun, for hiking.
And I don't know why we
those things
can't
are
do both. It
It's just
just
body
would,
contact that
Yeah, you
we
can't,
shouldn't
which is
have,
ironic.
and anything that encourages trash or any accumulation of that. But usually, fishing.
but I don't know why we can't go out there and do some improvements and make it a watershed lake at the same time. It's just,
Well, but not
it would be a difference in amount of money
you
we'd
wouldn't want
spend
to, you
there.
wouldn't do the bathrooms.
I'd like to get you back a little bit more into the balance if we could.
Okay.
Well,
let's
here,
get into
here,
the ballot.
but these things all touch.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Yeah.
why. So what?
Talk about the parks.
Really, what this is really related
Got that on the
to
agenda.
is 0.15 the right number. It's really what this is related to.
Yeah.
And some of these things are related. So how it touches is how do you program Charlie Young, and if you put 1.15 into parks, and what we could do is we could hold with the flop right now between the 0.15 and the 0.1. Say, yeah, we're good with that. Have the rest of our discussion and come back and say, yeah, we think that's okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, Pat, we have to decide, is the economic development
You're
director
right. All
a
right,
program
let's-
administrator, and are we having a water source? For us to nail that number down at this moment, we either have to have those other conversations or we can come back and revisit what, I guess, Dennis, what I was trying to point out was Don's level of effort right now, incrementally, how much more is Charlie Young going to cost? And if we add services, that's probably at least one more person.
One more person.
So we're going to have one more person. So of that 150, is 50 to 60,000 of that is going to be a person down there. I don't think it's they're going to have to mow a lot more regularly. That's going to be more like ball field type maintenance to
And you're
keep.
gonna have a lot of horticulture. You have
A lot of okay.
A lot of beds.
But
down
most
high
of that's
maintenance.
gonna be a parking lot, isn't it?
And that's what I'm
Just
getting
around
at.
the perimeter.
I
Just
think
be
if
part
all
of the
you have
street.
is Charlie Young Park to deal with the improvements,
No, I'm
you're right.
thinking
I
Washington- I
think
get
the
Washington
0.15 will be enough.
Okay.
But if Lake Bixoma now suddenly becomes a park as opposed to a watershed,
Right.
now you've got another probably $100,000 to $200,000 you're going to have to throw into that park.
Well, or even more than that is what the mayor just alluded to, Washington Irving. If we start programming Washington Irving more, then that level of effort in Washington Irving to keep up with that,
But that one's gonna be mostly parking, or a
Yeah.
great deal of it.
right, but you're gonna have people in there cleaning up trash, you're gonna
Well,
have
that's
the mowing and all those
Bathrooms,
things to keep it as a regular
So
venue.
it's like,
So how much of that,
Okay, but as far as square feet of mowing,
I think you'll have a period of time in there. This will go into effect January 1, 2016. Charlie Young's not going to come on for at least a year probably. So you'll have a little bit of time and some money starting to be generated in January 1 out of there that would maybe be used for some other places.
I just don't want to see us get into a,
Well,
another thing where
I
it's
got a
like, well,
question.
got to dip in the general fund for the parks again after we get this thing
I
passed.
agree with that. I agree with that.
Okay, so Dawn, your guys spend most of their time mowing and weeding, right?
Everything, right?
I know everything, but that's a lot of it is mowing, the weed eating,
Trees.
and
And
taking
mow my
care
yard.
of all that. Just thinking out loud here, and I don't know how the numbers will match up. We pay people to mow the cemetery and other areas, Fry Creek Ditch. What would it be cost-wise to just contract the mowing and weeding on our parks versus keeping that in-house? And then
I
we can
think
take
you
that-
could, it would help in having to add employees to contract out some, say, Washington Irving, Quail Creek, and trail mowing, and concentrate our staff, which is more responsive, and has more dedication at keeping up our high priority areas like
Washington, or I mean Bentley.
Well,
and
that doesn't,
Charlie.
the question is, does it save money?
That's
See,
where I'm trying to
the
go.
hard part with the parks is that it's trimming, it's zero-turn mowers. You
Plus
don't
all that
save,
other stuff.
as compared to mowing Fry Creek, that's the bat wing and a tractor, that's somebody,
Well, and that's also the difference. I mean, the core responsibility of the street guys is not, I mean, it's mowing, but they also have other stuff like pothole and stuff. You could argue that you have staff for parks to do mowing and maintaining. Most of the maintenance for parks, especially Bentley, is mowing and keeping the ground and all of that.
Or does it save money? I think
Doesn't
it
save
doesn't
money.
save
It
money.
doesn't save
Because
money
we have-
because you're still gonna have
We have all the
people.
overhead and everything.
Yeah.
It's not like you can get rid of people because you know, you don't need them anymore for mowing. Isn't that why you have 8 guys? Because you do have need that many guys for the mowing
Well, I'm
and the
thinking if we're-
keeping of the grounds.
Right.
If we're growing the Charlie Young or maybe the Big Soma, we don't have to get more guys if we contract out a little bit of that other stuff without having to buy new equipment and everything else. I
Yeah,
just
you
wanna
would
know the
save on
cost.
capital equipment costs by
So you would save there.
contracting something out. And maybe you change the mowing frequencies not so often at the parks and the trails. Maybe you go to 10 days. Tulsa goes to 14 days in their parks, you know?
That's what I'm trying to get at. What
And-
would the would there be a cost savings or would it just cost us more money?
It costs
don't
us $1,600 per pass to mow the cemetery.
Right.
The cemetery, that's 4 times a month.
They mow it once a
So,
week, okay.
Yeah, once a week to be able to keep it looking like that.
So $6,400 a month.
$6,400 a month, and you would do it, what, 7 months? So we're talking what?
We mow on 10-day mow cycle.
Okay, let's say 3 then.
3 times a
3
month.
times, so, you know,
I got a
after
contract bids on
Cemeteries.
Quail Creek Park, this 3.5 acres. It's $450 a month. That's why I'm looking at trying to get that off my plate
Okay,
so we don't have
how many
to,
months does it have to know?
7 months a year.
So we're $3,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so
That means I don't have to trailer people half a day.
it almost sounds better to contract that out. So
Yeah.
so
Big
I
Soma
wonder
would
if
be
we gotta
another
start
one
looking
would-
at that.
would be
See,
good
I
to
think
do
so,
that.
especially-
Big Soma's got,
It's like a satellite part of Bixby, I mean, it's like the outer edge, so he's right, loading equipment, by the time we get guys in, they clock in, they load a trailer, they load the equipment, they gas up. I mean, by the time you even get there, so there's 2 or 3 hours that you've got just getting ready to come out there.
half a
And
day.
you gotta think, they're not gonna stay there all night, so they're gonna have to load up again and haul everything back, cause if we don't, our equipment's gonna be missing when we get back there. So,
I feel like we've gotten away from Valentine's. I know you're getting into what seems to be more minutia that,
Well, this still goes back to is .15 enough.
It's not one
So-
enough.
So let's,
If we can figure other ways to,
so we're gonna revisit that and perhaps later after you get through Big Soma.
Right, so
Right
we'll-
now, I'm gonna flip it.
Okay.
And move Proposition 1 to number 3. Not, I know where we are on our itinerary, we're still on
Yeah.
last night's topic
we're
was,
still on
but-
last night.
yeah.
But I really need some direction if I go to Proposition, was now going to be Proposition 1, the corridor development. There's, you can see in the example ballot, I've got a blank in there, or I've got a in red and private. So right now the ballot has a question mark as to whether or not the monies could be used for maintaining public and private improvements. And I have trouble, frankly, coming up with what are private improvements that a city can actually do. But I think the example I could give you would be, let's just say that we need a restaurant down there across the street from Charlie Young. So, we want to build a facility that somebody could move in there, and we could rent it to them. That would be a private use of these monies, but it would be for economic development and for.
Well, I think a lot of where this happens is because downtown river corridor, this could be, if council chooses, it could be used as a grant program for somebody that wanted to redo their facade
There you
and
go.
upgrade their facade, so that you don't pay for the whole thing, but you provide incentive dollars for somebody to upgrade their facility according to, whatever the downtown master plan motif is, or whatever that might be. That would be a use of public dollars on the private side as incentive dollars, as a grant to get somebody to upgrade a facade or their grounds, landscaping.
And we're not saying that you would actually do that, but you want the flexibility of doing that, or you really want to stick with right of way and putting signs and acquiring public property or public easements for improvements down there. So I just needed some direction as to whether or not you wanted to have that ability, or you just really want to focus on public improvements. And then the other question on this ballot title is how long? And certainly you had a presentation last night. about how much money would be projected to be generated out of this. This is a temporary tax for downtown corridor. How much and for how long? How much is part of the question of how long you want it to
Well, we need to
last.
discuss what we wanna do there as a minimum and how much that's gonna
Yeah.
cost. Is that later, or did we do that already? Or?
We want to take a short break, then come back and talk about how long and what it costs.
11:05, and we're going to recess for a few minutes and then resume.
10 minutes?